Now, criminals are constantly coming up with new ways to exploit flaws in online security, and they've been regularly turning to web schemers in recent years. These cyber criminals continue to pose a powerful and persistent danger to internet banking and consumer bank accounts. To unpack this further, I am joined by the co-founder of DigImmune, that's Simon Campbell-Young. Thank you very much, Simon, for your time here on ENCA. What are these new, ways that criminals are trying to get us as consumers on our banking apps?
Great, thanks for having me. Look, they're trying to attack us from multiple different vectors on an ongoing basis. The threat landscape continually changes and continually keeps moving. Typically, back in the old days, it was, brute force attacks into servers and trying to find their way into most corporations. But, the landscape keeps moving. It's sort of is clever ways of phishing and attempted hacking all the way to, social media engineering and social media based crime. So it constantly shifts. And it actually depends on whether you're a large scale corporate or whether you're a small to medium business, which is the predominance from a South African perspective, right?
Yeah. So tell me something. What is it that the banks are not doing, or are they doing enough? It's just that the criminals are becoming smarter.
I think the criminals are becoming smarter. There's no doubt about it. The criminals are finding ways to manipulate a lot better than they could traditionally. The banks are theoretically easy targets, purely because everything from a banking perspective right now is digital, and the banks are encouraging their users to remain digital customers going forward. The physicality from a banking perspective or physical outlets are shutting down, and so that digital landscape actually opens up more opportunity from from a cyber criminal perspective. But certainly from our perspective, we talk to all the big major banks at the moment who are busy discussing it, and we're seeing a huge level of renewed responsibility from a banking perspective, where the banks are now looking for ways to protect their users because they're obligated to, right?
Yeah.
And what you're finding in this new digital age is that the consumer, or for you and I as customers of a bank, we are now expecting and demanding. And so a lot of the research that we've been doing recently, you now have bank customers saying, right, listen, I need you to look after me and I expect you to look after me. So what are you giving me to keep me safe from a digital exposure perspective or digital risk perspective?
And I mean, we do see, for instance, when you log on to your banking app, you are given the warnings about some of the cybersecurity that you need to look out for, what scammers are trying to, what they're doing rather to gain access to your account, etc. But it's also businesses, right? Big corporates are also in danger of this. What are they not doing? Maybe not enough wall on their internet services to make sure that, the scammers aren't able to come through?
Yeah, so from a business perspective, and let's maybe keep it to the man in the street, the small to medium,
yes,
which is 95% of us South Africans, right? The corporates have got enough money; they know what to do. They can look after themselves. But but for us guys, all of us in small to medium businesses, I guess, you need to be cyber savvy. There's no doubt about it. Any small to medium business that suffers some level or existentially large-based loss or large-based cyber event can be detrimental to the business. It can stop them trading. It can result in a loss of funds. It can result in, cease of trading, unable to pay salaries, et cetera, et cetera. So certainly for those people in those businesses and those managers or those IT companies that are looking after those small to medium businesses, you need to be doing a couple of things, right? I always have this sort of top 10 list, and number one is, right, conduct security assessments, have a look at, or bring in a third party individual or company to assess where your organization has weakness. Strong passwords, multi-factor authentication, those are the basics. Employee cybersecurity training, critical. Teach your employees what phishing is, what scams look like, what phishing emails look like, and there's so much of that that's available in terms of training content that's out there. unfortunately, give your staff limited access to sensitive company data. Make sure that you, as a business, are backing up your data at all times. That's absolutely crucial. Keep your software up to date. It must be kept up to date. Latest patches, the latest downloads, which essentially have got all the detection and protection methodology for the latest malware and the latest viruses that are being written. Potentially have an incident response plan. If something goes wrong, okay, what do we do? How do we lock up our stuff? What can we do, et cetera, et cetera? Double check that you are protecting your payment gateway, your payment processing procedures, so that you're not getting fooled at point of payment, right? So those to me are always, and then obviously secure your networks. Number one, so protect all the devices, and then most importantly, have a layer of digital risk protection. So that's a layer that sits above your devices, that's scouring the web, scouring the internet, looking and protecting and monitoring any leaked or stolen credentials that have been exfiltrated out of your company.
And I guess that's the same advice that you could give even to the ordinary person who uses banking apps from time to time. Thank you so much for speaking to us here on ENCA. That was the co-founder of Digimmune. That's Simon Campbell Young.